Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Stone Face Reactions. I'm Theta, this is Lessons, and we are here with, what is it? We're in Macross Dynamite 7? Is that what it is now? Uh, and ironically, Do You Remember Love, the movie, had just recently hit the YouTube, so that's how far ahead you know we are from that. And if you want to keep up, you're probably going to hear the spiel about Patreon later, but that's how you keep up. But first off, we do have a couple of comments from Do You Remember Love, and I picked out the top three for me. I don't know if you've been reading any of the comments from YouTube.
Yeah, I did.
So if there's any that jumped out to you that you wanted to go through, let me know after these three. But Heaven72 says, even after all these years, I am still impressed by the sheer insanity of the art in this movie. It's hard to imagine every frame was this hand drawn.
Yeah, I've always said that one of the things I love about the movie is how beautiful it looks. I mean, it. One thing it does suffer is that even with the remakes, they're using old prints, and I think today you would have used something like AI or something like that to really bring out the sharpness and the colors, right? To make it more, in a 4K or even 8K situation. So I think it could go through another round restoration, right? If we have the original print, but even then, it's just it's a gorgeous movie. The sights, I mean that vertical slice when clearly the ship is like this, right? So they are going kind of sideways, and they see the rings of Saturn. I mean, sitting there, that was just beautiful. Even the
Just
final battle was.
imagine how good it would have looked if they had destroyed Earth on screen. I still can't get over that. I mean, I was rewatching our reaction while I was reading comments, and it's like it takes me half of the movie, even though they say it right in the opening credits. It takes me half of the movie to realize, wait a second, we're not gonna see this. Like I keep comparing it to the show. Like where are we at in the show? Never entertaining the thought that we just didn't do any of that. Crazy. Next up, we have Dreambreaker. LOL when you realize Kaori Sensei is the guy in yellow who wanted to get Min May's autograph in the stadium shelter before he gets crushed.
Kawamori Sensei,
Oh, yep, you're
who
right. There
is
is an M in there.
yeah, Shoyu Kawamori, which is the main designer and essentially the father of Macross, right? He's not the main writer per se, I don't think, right, but he's the main uh designer of all the ships, and particularly the Veritex, not Veritex, the Valkyries. That's a word for somewhere else. Um and so he's seen as sort of the main person behind it, and so he had himself drawn as somebody who's gonna get blown up. That's pretty funny.
Well, I mean, it follows through. Because you
Yeah,
remember in the, like, what was it, first or second episode of the show where we have all the broadcast station, no, the animation studios getting
just to the
crushed
moon
by,
agent. Yeah,
yeah.
Hikaru. Yeah,
So it makes sense. I obviously didn't know anything about who this was, because as I've stated many times before, when people say, "Oh, you're an older guy who's watching anime, you clearly have the wisdom and the knowledge of all this stuff that you," goes, "No, I'm a fucking idiot. I'm just like any normal person who's watching TV." So don't come to me for wisdom. You tell me somebody who had something to do with the show, it's probably going to be the first time I've ever heard their name before.
also I didn't say he writer, but yeah, he is also a screenwriter. My apologies to Kawamori-san for saying that he wasn't.
Yep, I'm just here to appreciate the work, not to get into the biography. Oh, how long ago was that picture taken?
That far, I don't think.
See, that goes to what I
It's
was saying before.
2013.
Oh, really? Okay.
He's 64 years old right now.
It goes to that thing I keep saying, which may be offensive, and I apologize if it is, that Japanese people just don't age. One day you're like 64 years old and you look like you're a teenager, and then next day you're 90 years old. It's just I don't know. I think it's that diet that maybe the classical Japanese diet, maybe not so much the modern international community diet full of trans fats and everything. I think I heard that before once. I don't know if this is just ignorance bleeding out. That's why Japanese people tend to be shorter. Is also the diet related. Again, my ignorance comes out of my mouth, preferably not so much in my hands. I realize that didn't make any sense, but it made sense to me. And I was trying to say, like, I don't vote with my ignorance. I don't. I don't know. Moving on to the next thing. Ilios quadruple zero, because I don't know how you want me to say the zeros. Finally, so this, sorry, I'm also going to say all the typos here. Finally, so this considered the canon for events going forward, as well as mechanical designs and Centrati designs. The guy with the huge head is Exodol. We get see him again in Macross 7. This version of the Macross, with the armored carriers, will be what you see going forwards as well. TLDR, forget everything from the TV shows and go off this. And Block 2 VF1 with side sticks and throttle transformation in place of the silly levers of the TV.
Yeah, they redesigned the cockpit, so it's not center stick, and then you have the three, the gear walk, fighter, etc. It's now two side sticks, so that no matter in which form you're on, you still have control of them.
Well, I mean, it was
You
a
know,
dumb idea because what happens if you hit two sticks at the same time?
Hmm?
I said it was a dumb idea because I'm not talking about the new design. I'm talking about the old one.
Yeah,
If you hit the G stick and the I don't remember what the
problem.
no, I'm talking about the gear walk and you hit the humanoid form. I can't remember what it's called.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
If you hit both,
Battle droid.
yeah,
Battle droid.
if you hit the Batroid and the Gerwalk form sticks at the same time, like what happens?
I think they cancel each other out.
Honestly, what it should have been is one stick, forwards for Batroid, middle for Gerwalk, backwards for Valkyrie. That way, it's only a if and condition, right? Because it doesn't make sense to have on off for three different forms because you can only do one form at a time. And I also responded to this comment, by the way, as well, because he says, forget the TV show from now on. It's all going to be the movie. And we know that's not true. It's a mixed canon sort of thing. Also, the fact Amelia watched the movie. So, but yeah, I think they disagreed with me on the fact it's a mixed canosity. But I mean, it's proven to be true from here at the end of Macross 7, anyway. And the fact that, I guess, I don't know, Max never talks about getting turned into a giant, but there's evidence of it. His daughter, Amelia. Because,
I mean, yeah, but we also see the picture where they're all micronized. So,
or was that a picture of them all as giants?
could be.
I mean, it seems to me
Honestly, I can't dismiss it.
if you
But
believe that the movie is entirely true, then it seems more
yeah,
likely that Max recently got turned back into a small guy, and that the whole family was. Well, I don't know. Actually, that doesn't matter.
remember when he rescues Gubava, he's not in giant form.
Yeah, well, I mean, recently in like the last 10 years.
Yeah. And also means that they would have taken a giant baby and micronizer to have Mylene be same size.
Well, my thing I was about to get to is that by virtue of the fact she's Max's kid, she's half Centrati, which
Huh?
implies that you can macronize half Centrati as well.
I mean, you can micronize non-centrati
Well,
because
we
if
didn't see that
Max
until the movie. That's what I'm saying. Is that
exactly,
the
yeah.
concept of macron? I don't think throughout the entire show I ever thought
Right.
about macronizing a person.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying that they ever mentioned anything about it. I'm saying I just didn't even think about it. Why don't we make ourselves giants? Like, just seems like a dumb thought. But yeah, those are the comments that I picked out. Yeah. Do we want to do a recap? Because it was just a movie, and it
Yeah. I
literally
mean,
has
no,
nothing to do with anything else anymore.
no, not really.
Yeah, it's just a
I mean,
one-off.
we're not gonna go back to that. I just want to reiterate that I really like Emilia, even if it was a bit silly that she was in macronized form for some reason. I mean, she was for plot purposes. That's what it was,
Well,
basically.
I feel like the argument about Max only recently getting micronized would be Amelia, because it doesn't feel like Amelia did anything extra. It kind of feels like she's who she is. I don't know. My thought process about her is that I don't feel like she would make herself into that, especially now that she has to isolate herself to be able to sing and everything like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. All
But
right.
also remember in Macro 7, she. Oh, you know why? It's no, because the original fighter that Amelia has is the VF1, her red VF1, which is for micronize pilots. At some point, she had to macronize and get that as an official fighter.
Does she
As a
do that in the
member of
movie? Does she fight? Does she have the red fighter in the movie or
no,
not?
no, she does not. She has a giant her power armor, her pink reddish power armor. So yeah,
I couldn't
he
remember.
gets
For some reason, I thought at the
he
end of the movie she might have had a red fighter.
he gets a female what's called quadrant Rao version of it, which is blue. So she gets a red one. He has a blue one, and they fight together using both. So he's a one male pilot that gets a female armor, which is the coolest version of it. Well, the coolest version so far is the one we saw in Macross Plus, saw briefly, which seems like a cross between the two of them. It has extra missile pods and stuff like that. It's actually a modified version of it.
Barely saw that one. That one doesn't even register in my head.
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
I
the
liked
gold
it.
one, obviously, from
Yeah,
Macross 7 Encore is the coolest one for me. That's because it's the most recent one. It's months ago that we saw, that we've last seen a
seven. Yeah,
Miltrati
plus.
uh, weapon of any sort.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, but no, I mean, she still has a fighter, and if it gets destroyed and it's around, so where would she get? Why would she have that fighter if she remained full sized and had her own power
It
armor,
also
right?
implies the canonicity of the
Yeah.
TV show over the movie.
Hmm.
So yeah, that weird bit. All right, well, obviously though, I got the board here, which you know what? I'm gonna bring up Theta's thought real quick because it's going to explain this thing that I'm pointing at here. I don't know if you can see because I think you scrolled up.
Oh, this down here, I see.
Yeah, Nata Balgo. You
On the
might
Volgo,
see that
yeah.
he's got a gold line connecting him to Volgo. Where did I write it?
Yeah, but he was being controlled by what's his name?
No, no, no. Here we go. Something I came across that answers a question. What or who was Nata Balgo in the movie? According to Macross Chronicle magazine, it's apparently Volgo resurrected as a robot. I guess that might also imply something about Giggle, namely how we saw normal human Automar didn't have all that robotic crap on him, but Giggle did. So maybe Natter Volgo was just an extension of whatever was done to Giggle. So yeah, in the
Seems like
can,
because not Balgo was simply disintegrated, so I don't know how they revived him.
well, you can see here that that purple bit of him is obviously
Uh,
the
uh,
robot bit, which is like the
uh,
majority of his being.
uh
I don't know, but Macross the Macross magazine says that's robot Volgo.
I love your picture of Tranquil. It's her with the half mask screaming.
I didn't pick it again. It all comes from behind the voice actor, so it's the picture
I
that
know,
they
I know.
chose.
Yeah.
I guess also I have one other comment about Nato Balgo. Also, Nato Balgo was obviously created after the series was finished. That's why it didn't show up at the end of the show. But the other Proto Devlin flew out of the galaxy. Gepernick, Sybil, Gabble, and Grabble. And that's it. So
Yep.
Nato Balgo is just another hanging thread. Obviously, I don't expect them to show up again anywhere, but conceivably they still exist alongside all the spiritual technology left behind.
No, Pro Delvin technology, to be precise.
Well, the Proto Devlin technology is just stolen technology. Remember, they're extra dimensional. They just inhabited people with things. Like the evil was just Proto Devlin, sorry, Proto Culture shit.
Yeah, but they also were known to to modify things.
Yeah, but it's still
So
just modifying somebody else's shit. The
yeah.
spiritual tech, well, maybe you're right. Because why would the Proto Culture have spiritual tech at all? Well, maybe they
Yep.
made it to fight the Proto Devlin, since we know that it does hurt the Proto Devlin. I don't know.
Mm.
Whatever. I'm just calling it spiritual tech because I've had that whole thought process before of, hey, this stuff can do wonders, even if Proto Devlin aren't a thing. Literally, it brings people out of comas. It excites people who are like depressed. It can work as a great crowd control weapon because it just puts people into a coma. It doesn't hurt them. So it's good technology. It'd be stupid if we didn't have it again in another show.
No
Um,
comment.
Otherwise, obviously, Pedro, Margarita, Miguel, Amelia, they're added to the board as well. Miguel is Margarita's dad. Margarita is Pedro's mom. So that's the whole family line there.
Yeah.
Jessica, the news reporter, she's been added. Gaelic, the love of a fetus, has been added. Or sorry, lover of a fetus. I'm not actually sure if that was a back and forth. He says,
What the
I've
one?
always loved you. She says, I know. Now, if we think of a fetus is like Han Solo, then that means that they
Huh.
probably loved each other.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I don't know if it's back and forth or not. We have Prishkikov, the historian of Firebomber. And you've already pointed out Tranquil, so you've seen Chlor, I guess, who obviously knew Milia. And that's all the additions, I think. Yeah, because the other line was from Macross 7 upwards.
Yep.
All right, then. Some thoughts about Macross 7 Encore and Macross 7 the movie I've got here. Oh, you got something?
Yeah. No, no, go ahead, Gav. Probably whatever I was gonna say, I either said before or would just interrupt your thoughts. Go
Well, no,
ahead.
no, go ahead.
No, no, I just want to say that in spite of not, ironically, in spite of the fact that um, Encore was the last thing we saw. Yeah.
No, the movie
No,
was the
no,
last
no.
thing we saw.
The movie, I still liked it. It was entertaining. Could have been much more, but it was entertaining.
I
But I
would
guess
have
I
liked
got,
a show based on the movie.
yeah.
Well, because we got introduced to characters in the movie that I think I cared a lot more about than
Hmm.
the side characters of the show. So it's not a thought
That's
I've
true.
written down. It's just something I thought about when I thought, oh man, I wish I got more Pedro. Pedro's just a fucking. Hold on, I got it written down here.
Pedro, Pedro, Pedro.
Let's see. I'm actually sad that the movie just comes as an afterthought to the story we'd already been given. Pedro was an adorable kid in all the scenes before Bizarro kidnapped him. Very realistically written, maybe the best depiction of a kid that age I may have seen in anime. On top of that, Amelia Genius. We have to know that this was a one and done for her. I'd have loved to have spent more time getting to know what she was about. The movie just introduces a lot, and then when it's over, we are left with no answers to any questions we may have had. I guess kind of like how the show just dead ends.
Yeah, again, in order to enjoy the movie, you just gotta go unplug and watch it as is.
Well,
Take it at face value.
yeah, like I said, the fact that they fold device their way in. You're not planning to go home at any point? Like, why would the fleet follow you here? I mean, I have another thought regarding the stupidity of some of the shit in the movie, but I think my other thoughts continue from Macross 7 Encore. So, the Proto-Devlin themselves flew out of the galaxy, but what about everyone that was still under mind control? Granted, most of the pilots must have died when Gepernick went out of control, just sucking the energy out of everybody. But what about the vampires in City 7? Being isolated on board the ship, they must have had long term orders that didn't require them to constantly be told what to do. Does City 7 now just forever have the concept of vampires as a thing, unconnected to the Proto Devlin?
Or they get finally hunted down and killed.
Well, you remember what. Gepernick had such faith in these mind controlled vampires that one of them was given control of Giggle,
Yeah.
another Proto Devlin. So it's like, I
Hmm.
also want to point out I read the first chapter. I've told you before. I read the first chapter of Macross 7 Trash, which is confusing to
Right.
say the least. I don't know that I'd call it trash, but I've read like um, Gundam 00, for example. I've read a number of chapters of that manga, and I would say it's on the same level, which is to say, I wouldn't say it's very good, but it's not terrible. And vampires exist in that, by the way. Like they attack people at a graveyard, which like why are the vampires on a grave? There's a graveyard ship in Macross 7, by the way. You
Yeah.
know, to bury people. Why would the vampires be on that ship? They're least likely to find living people on the graveyard ship. Anyway, it's also about roller derby and Max's illegitimate son. I'm assuming he's illegitimate son because apparently he's being paid for. Like someone's giving him like money, and he claims to be Max's illegitimate son.
Oh. Well, that's true or not, we'll probably have to keep reading, right?
Yeah, I guess I'm gonna have to if I brought it up and you're interested. So, see. So Ray's days in the military were pre-Macross Plus. Namely, Steven's death was 10 years before the events depicted in Macross Plus, which means his entire tour of service was before Dyson even joined UN Spacey. Or rather, it was still called UN Spacey back when Ray joined, instead of United Forces.
There's something about the name, the change when we get to Frontier. Oh, actually, it already happens um in Plus, because in Plus they're called the Nun, the new UN forces.
Well, I believe in Macross Plus, there is a reference to UN Spacey. It might be in the first episode,
Yeah.
when Dyson's getting reprimanded and forced to go to the base. That I believe they talk about UN Spacey, or UN Spacey shit is there. I don't remember. I just remember no,
Yeah.
maybe actually on his
Yeah.
record sheet, because I remember I looked it up for verification of
But
dates before I wrote this
the
down.
government. I mean, this is sort of behind the scenes things that I see somewhere also. But there was a reason, and mostly tied to video games. There's a reason why the government got restructured into the new UN government. The UN Spacey would still be part of it, whether it's called UN Forces or UN Spacey or whatever. They're still part of it.
Yeah, because it sounds like None would be the name of the anti-UN forces from Macross Zero.
But it is no, it's the new
The
UN,
non-UN, the None.
as opposed to the new. Yeah.
And that's when the UN I'm sorry, I'm trying to make a idiocracy joke. I couldn't get there. The reason young Basara was so clear with his feelings was the fact that it wasn't actually Basara. The on-stage episode was a bunch of actors reenacting Firebomber's past from a narrative that they were laying out as their backstory. Akiko even says it all seems too melodramatic to be true.
That
So,
explains a lot.
yeah, the only version of Basara that we liked is
It's
basically,
and child actor pretending to be him.
well, if you roll up on the board, it's basically Role Schumann and Soren Lango playing Kwamzim and Big Tai.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
they're just two guys acting. That's also why young Ray looks so weird. It's a guy pretending to be Ray. It's odd that Flashakia showed up on images in the background of so many episodes, even getting her own mid-roll card, but was never actually a character in the show. The picture of her on the board is the mid-roll card, because I didn't want to find her on like a TV set. She's like in so many episodes. It felt like they were setting up for something. She's got a soundtrack. Why? I guess Sound Force is also the cure for the cold. Milia has a cold, gets wrapped up in Sound Force, and then feels better. Conceivably, the episode it took place in happened between episodes 40 and 41, as 41 is when we get introduced to the guys selling pictures of Mylene's butt, who are actively doing it in the episode where Milia has a cold. We also see Billy for the first time in the cold on him. Point being, she doesn't have a cold in episode 41. Sound Force is the cure for the common cold.
I guess.
I'm guessing, by the way, they referred to the Meltron fleet as Rogue, that our supposition about the Galactic Treaty was right, and that most of the Zentradi are just united with us now.
I mean, the feeling I always had is that the bulk of their fleet was the Dulce's fleet, right? And that they were, distant forces across the galaxy doing whatever it is that we're doing, and this happens to be one of them. I mean, we've had, Roy fought renegades, Dyson fought renegades. We get attacked by a renegade. Melton, female fleet, all female fleet. So yeah.
Sorry, I felt like you had more thoughts there. I was
Well,
never.
just
It was never my interpretation that. Sorry, his name. You just said it a second ago. Bolg.
Mendoza.
Yeah, that's not the name I've always called him. So it's like that's why. Sorry, I zoomed out and I'm zooming back in to get his fucking name. Golg. You've always called him by his last name, but Golg is such a short fucking name. That's what I'm going to call him. That Golg was just one of many fleets. I never had the interpretation that he was like the main one. There we go. Scroll wheel is no longer zooming out. Now it's up and down. But yeah, no, that was always my interpretation from the first show. Of course, first show. I never really got much interpretation from the movie about what was supposed to be happening, other than that he was on top of the pyramid. Maybe that was the implication. In Macross 7, Episode 13, Fissia says the fold booster success rate is only 50%. In Macross Plus, it was implied that a failed fold would mean death. Macross 7 is about a decade out from Macross Plus, so conceivably it's further developed than it was when we originally saw it. Still, by the end of it all, we've seen what? Close to 15 fold booster uses, and still 0 failures. Fissia tossed out a Chekhov's gun of odds that never paid off. I guess it's only for the fact that main characters use the devices, except for Fissia and Kinryu, who died in other ways.
Yeah, I guess it would have been anticlimactic if somebody just died because the full boost just failed.
I feel like the Fissia shouldn't have said that. Like, don't give him the voice line. Make him say something else. Like, here we come. I don't know, something. I thought like Fissia could have said here we come and it would have made sense. But he just gave us a 50-50 shot, and like at that point, 7 people should have been dead by the end of the show. Also, half of the Spiritual Dream device, considering they used 4 full devices on it. I've really got no problem with the way the Centrati fleet reacted to Pasara's singing. It may have been a bit over the top, but no more so than a bunch of men becoming creepily obsessed with Minmay. Just more of the same. Sexual equality, I guess, at the end of the day. Well, I mean, look at these guys. They're like dying over dolls of her. It's like they are space incels. I'm questioning some of the relationship lines I have on the board due to the abruptness of the show's ending. For example, I have a red line from Civil to Milia because the only contact they've ever had was hostile. But at the end of the show, Civil helps try and save everyone and then leaves. Would Milia consider her an enemy still? Should I change their relationship to questionable? The end was just so abrupt, I have no idea.
I mean, that's one of the weaknesses of the ending. It was so abrupt that it has a bunch of dangling threads, and the movie introduces even more of them. So it's like, oh, hey, there's an idea. This is an idea. It's a cool idea, right? Here, I have an idea. What are you gonna do with the idea? Man, nothing.
Yeah, apparently the movie was just released as an added thing with Macross Plus's movie. It was supposed to be a not think about it thing, as I think I read from the maker. Which is a shame. But also, again, finishing the show that way? Like, wow, I understand there's a bunch of questions. Better slip out the back. Like, what the hell?
I mean, it's also a phenomenon of all the time they wasted with a bunch of mini arcs that didn't really go anywhere. It's like,
no, it's worse than that.
20,
it's worse than that.
30 episodes.
Yeah, all the mini arcs set up the questions at the end still. They add more stuff that doesn't get answered.
Yeah, but the mini arcs themselves, I feel, didn't go anywhere in themselves and rarely could have been solved in 2 or 3 episodes. It almost feels like, oh, I guess we got to wrap this up. Hey, what are you gonna go? Yeah, world-ending thing that eats everything. Okay, let's do that. Let's go
Uh,
with that.
I had a very insulting and stupid thought here. That, oh man, I wish there was another company out there that could re-edit all this Macross stuff into like its own show and put it all together in a way that would make more sense. Oh god, if only there was only one of those. That would be golden. That would just be golden. We would all be in harmony about that.
This is where we lost everybody in the show. Bye bye, everybody. Have a
Oh man. Look, all I'm saying is that look, in this age of oh, what do you call it? They did it for
remix.
Yu-Gi-Oh! And they did it for Dragon Ball Z. They're doing it for Sword Art Online. No, they recut
Abridged.
everything down as a jokey version of itself and stuck.
Abridged.
Yeah,
Yeah,
abridgment.
Macross has a bridge.
No, I know. I've seen the first episode of that. It actually wasn't that funny. I don't know. I'm just not that big of a fan of abridgments, other than Team Four Star stuff, like Yu-Gi-Oh! And Dragon Ball Z. Oh, and of course Hellsing. Hellsing was golden. But yeah,
I liked the Sword Online one. Was pretty funny for me.
I guess I just like Sword Art Online itself too much to actually get the humor of making fun of the character for being who he was. It's like, oh yeah, Kirito was a fucking jackass, so let's make a lot of fun about it. What are you talking about? Kirito was a fine character. I Kirito was fine. What? So yeah, I just don't buy into the humor when I know the humor is being pointed a certain way. Anyway, I got 3 more thoughts here. By the way, what caused the dimensional irregularity at the start of the movie? At the time we were watching it, I had assumed it was Amelia singing, but it seems like the irregularity just broadcast her singing and had nothing at all to do with her.
Yeah. Again, another thing is like, and even then, it's supposed to explain how Basara got there, but
No,
Basara just looks up.
he full
Basara looks at the
boosted.
sky. Yeah, he full boosted. So, but I
Yeah,
guess he was.
the implication is that he found out where the song was coming from because of the interdimensional irregularity. But did you ever watch? I must have asked you 1,000 times now. I don't remember the answer. You watched Babylon 5, right? Did you watch the movies?
Yes.
You remember the Vorlon one where they tested with like interdimensional space and whatnot?
Third space.
Yeah, third space. I feel like that should have been what was happening here. That the Proto Devlin were like, what if
Bringing
we
more people.
yeah, what if we like formed a connection back to the dimension that we came from or something, and it caused like some sort of rip, and that's where this comes from. Like just a 5 minute like battle scene with the Proto Devlin fleet doing like an experiment, and that's what sets Basara off. Could have explained the whole fucking thing instead of making up a weird interdimensional rift that was never something the show covered before.
Or since.
Yeah, well, couldn't be sense. This movie was made after. Literally,
Yeah,
the
but
only
it's
thing that happens after the movie is what we're gonna watch today. So
stuff happened. Oh, that's a okay. Here we go. Again, it seems very much like, oh, we're just gonna get this done. It's
you remember
such a
the
cool idea.
argument we had in the movie where we were
Uh,
I defining what a failed fold device thing was,
mhm.
and you're like, well, it went somewhere. It didn't fail. That could have been a better explanation. Basara goes to fold somewhere and he just fucking folds him in the wrong place, and it's like the spirited detective's picking up music. Better go investigate. That would have just been a better reason.
Which
Like,
is what I thought was happening originally, but it turns out it wasn't. He was deliberately went there.
yeah, so it is just dumb. No explanation, and unless they do an interdimensional rip in Dynamite 7, no hope for the future. Basara says the singing isn't what killed Pedro's dad, but the very next thing we do is get into a song battle that blows up rock formations and causes avalanches. It seems very clearly that Pedro's dad died to the singing.
Or trying to get to it
Well, we
and
know
got caught
the
on.
well we know the silver guitar thing is because Pedro's dad loved music. It seems very obvious that Pedro's dad went out and had a song battle with the giant they thought monster, but turns out to be Amelia,
Yeah.
and
Mm-hmm.
clearly fucking died. Oh, I wonder what he died to. Are we gonna thematically
Snoop,
say he
Snoop.
died to the singing, or the exploding rock formations and the
No, no,
avalanches?
no, no. No, he died to Snoo Snoo.
Ah. I don't. I know you're joking, but I
It's
feel
okay.
like Amelia wouldn't have gone to like try and make out with Basara if there was already past experience of this didn't work before. Also, I think Macross is the kind of show that would be like a grave somewhere in the room. All right, last thought here. Oh, another little bit of research that I did. Have you ever wondered what happened to Kaifun after Macross?
No, I never did wonder. I didn't care.
Well, I can
I
tell
just,
you what happened to Kaifun, and it
okay,
might
here we
actually
go.
upset you a little bit. I'll, in fact, add this. I'll bring it. Before I tell you, I added four characters from across four shows into a poll. Who is the most
Mhm.
annoying character in Macross? I had a hard time figuring out who I was going to add for. No, it wasn't Macross 7. I put Basara. That was pretty clear to me. Who was more annoying in Macross 7? Sorry, who did I put for which show? There was one show I was very confused. It was who was our hacker from Macross Plus?
Yeah. I know who you're talking
Yang Newman.
about.
Yang.
Yeah,
Oh, it
no,
was
no.
Macross Zero. I could not. Who would you think is the most annoying character in Macross Zero?
Annoying? I think Nora's little sister comes close to it.
Nora. I mean
Nora,
Sarah.
Sarah.
Yeah, I thought about Mao. I was like, but no, Mao's like
Oh,
adorable and important. It's like she's not annoying.
yeah.
I went with Aries Turner at the end of the day because I thought she was kind of annoying how she's like trying to inflict herself upon the natives. Uh, but yeah, obviously Lin Kaifun from the SDF Macross wins with 63% of the votes from 49 votes. Someone even thought that maybe people were voting accidentally for Basara because they love Basara for some reason, but he has 29% of the votes and Gang has 8. Most confusingly is though I also said write in somebody if you're not the person on here, and someone's like, "Why isn't Gamblin on the list?"
Hmm.
Are you watching the same show where you think Gamblin is more annoying than voting for Basara? Insane. Anyway, that said, what happened to Kaifun? One, by the way, either you assume that the first narrative is true, where he just goes off as a drunk at the end of the show, just wanders off as a failed actor, drunk, abusive guy.
Mhm.
I don't remember what happens to him in the movie. Do we get anything
Movie,
about that?
move. No, in movie he. Not, no, they come back because he was captured with everyone else, and they were part of the negotiations, and that's it.
Hmm.
I think he may have been killed in an explosion, but
Well, then obviously
I
this
don't.
isn't movie continuity. Oh, I don't think he gets killed because I think we would
No,
have
yeah.
cheered about
In
that.
fact, no, in fact, Kaifun in well, except for grabbing Ming Mei and kissing her that one time, Kaifun was like, he's just a guy. He's just like, I'm your producer. That's it.
Well, he didn't just grab her; he was asked to. He wasn't like
Yeah.
a sexual predator.
No, yeah.
Uh, so there's this album called English Fire that I discovered something hilarious about that I have to read here. All the songs on this album have been redone in English by the band Firebomber American, which is actually an album you can find. Instead of simply being English versions of Firebomber songs, the makers of Macross have created an English version of the band Firebomber. In the Macross universe, Firebomber American is a band on the English-speaking fleet Macross 11 that claims that the Macross 7 Firebomber is a rip-off of it. The singers for this band are also different. According to the fictional Macross continuity, Lin Kaifun, a character from the first TV series from 1982, who was Lin May's cousin and also her former manager, is the creator and manager of Firebomber American.
Yeah, that has to be a dig on Robotech. That
He is the
absolutely, that has to be a dig on that other series I just mentioned.
he is the honey whatever his guy's name was, the guy who looks like Carrot Top in Macross 7.
Honey Suzuki, yeah.
Yeah, he is the Honey Suzuki of Macross 11.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you've ever wondered whatever happened to Dear Kaifun,
Probably somewhere else doing something else. But that whole thing that they're the real ones, yeah, that has to be a reference to that other show that we're not supposed to talk about, what I just mentioned.
I don't know why. Just the other day, I was like looking up shit, and it's like, whatever happened to Kaifun? That couldn't possibly be a spoiler. Like, well, here it
Uh,
is.
now I have to
Typhoon.
look at American
It was
Firebomber.
Firebomber American. And they have
Yeah,
a
same
whole
thing.
album on YouTube. I know that. Because there literally are English versions of the songs. Because I've seen that before. Because I thought, oh, is there any English versions of this music that I could hear? And I found that album before. And it's like, oh, I didn't think that there was an in-universe explanation for it.
I like the names K Cool V Really, Rack Nabisaki, June Lay Mines. That's supposed to mean May, I suppose, and Five Fats. And their producer is Ling Kai Fung. You know, yeah, that has to be a dig on
I
that.
have no
Also,
idea. It's just the fact that
also,
he's still out there.
it's very interesting because up to this point, the fiction of the show was that everybody was speaking English and it gets translated to Japanese. So now there's an American based
Well,
fleet
I
that
had this question before, and this is when you first brought up to me the fact that they're all speaking English was why do they speak English also? Like, they're speaking Japanese, obviously, because it's the native tongue of the people who are watching the show. But then they
yeah.
also have they have English words mixed in,
Yeah,
which
but
implies that
that's
they're
that
singing a different language than the language that they're speaking normally.
yeah, but that half of it, well, it depends because sometimes, for example, in the movie, the introduction of the movie, they start all English, like oh, so and so, you're doing this, doing that,
That was a
to
that was
set
a comment in the
yeah,
on
to
the thing.
set up that they were actually speaking English and then they switch Japanese. But also the fact that to a Japanese audience, those English words don't really sound too far off because of how essentially I think the term still exists Japlish. Like when you have music, right? And then all of a sudden they go like Planet Dance. It's like, well, that's English, but the rest of the song is Japanese, right? To us, it feels out, but to a Japanese audience, that doesn't actually imply that that isn't speaking English.
I haven't
It's
heard
other.
I haven't heard Japlish before, but God, it's eating the edge of my brain. You ever seen Black Lagoon,
Yes,
the anime? Yeah, God, there's that one character who speaks broken English all the time, and uh, Revy calls her
Ravi. Yeah,
something. The nickname for her
it
is
is Japanese.
no, it's not
It's
Japlish.
something.
It's like Jinglish.
Something.
It's something
Yeah, yeah,
more.
yeah,
God, I wish I could remember it, but it's just on the tip of my tongue all the time.
yeah.
Yeah, but no, like I said, I understand
Like,
what you're saying, but the implication of them having two languages on the show is already kind of built in when I'm hearing that. Also,
yeah.
shows that do that, I don't. I mean, I appreciate what you're going for. I don't appreciate it though because it doesn't work for me. I think I also had like a bad experience with the Crest of the Stars. Crest of the Stars had a made-up language in it, and the very first episode, they speak that made-up language for like a full minute and a half before they bring in the Japanese subtitles, and I'm like, did I get the wrong file? I am very confused right now.
I mean, it's what happened. Centrali first, and then Centron and Meltron languages were made up for it. And one of the things that they did for, and I mentioned this before, for Macross Plus was that the producer slash songwriter slash singer in many of the songs kind of did gibberish in many of her songs, although there is actually an English version of those songs. In fact, there's an English translation album that just has English lyrics straight up. And in those songs, the what's supposed to be Centrati language, the gibberish, is translated to English.
Well, like I said,
So
it's also a problem of
it's a
never
thing.
going to not
Yeah,
living in the world. It's going to be impossible to actually
yeah.
see that, which is also another barrier to that. But yeah, that's all my thoughts. You have anything else you want to bring up before we get into
No,
this?
I like the fact that they have a Macross 11, and they to me it feels very much like yeah, there's an American version of all our events, and they claim to be the real thing. And by the way, they're saddled with the most annoying character we purposely made to be annoying with them, right?
Well, again, think of the fact that for the beginning, his counterpart in Macross 7 is Honey Suzuki,
Mhm.
who is not annoying.
Yeah. but not someone who has a history in universe of being. He's just a guy that he's the standard producer guy who has his own ideas.
He is like not annoying in and of anything he does. He's got mannerisms that are just irksome, I guess.
Oh, he's very camp gay. That's
Well,
what he is.
I'm not saying that that's the annoying bit. It's I don't know. He rubs off on you in a wrong way.
Also, remember that he's positioned in a way that he is the
Competition to
he
Akiko as well.
a competition to Kiko, and they're very much the commercialized version of music, especially both like Kiko, who wants them to succeed commercially, but kind of understands where they're coming from, right? And has a connection with Ray, and it's like she kind of like, listen, this is the way we do things, but blah blah, take it easy, kind of smooth things over. And especially clash with Bazara, who just he doesn't care about commercial success. He cares about popularity in the sense that he wants everybody to hear his song, right? And move the mountain and all of that, which the more I think about it, the more it gives me a headache.
I'm
But
now
still,
thinking of backstory to Kaifun. Like, do you think he like changed his ways and then like, oh man, Minmay left me behind on the Mega Road and I've been here on Earth like trying to fix myself. Maybe if I go out on Macross 11, I'll have a chance to meet up with her again.
I think basically he just this after the war and after Mei left him, that's all he has, right? I don't think he could go back to being a movie star.
It
So he
depends on
decided,
which version it is, right? Because if it's
yeah.
TV Kaifun, he's like a drunk who like ruins everything and just like drives off one day into the desert and we don't see him again. But movie Kaifun isn't as bad. He's not an actor. He's not a pacifist nut. He's just
Just a guy.
he's
Just
just a
the
manager,
producer.
right? Yeah, he's got
Yeah,
less to do, but he still doesn't go on the Mega Road. So,
yeah.
and you could see where if he's on the Macross 11 fleet, that maybe he's just out there to try and find Min Megan. I don't know. Kind of assume all the Macross fleets are heading to the Galactic Center. I don't know. I don't. It's just like redemption for Kaifun, maybe. But again, movie Kaifun doesn't really need redemption. He's just like
No,
he's
I think it's TV
movie
Kaifun.
Kaifun
Just
just
do
catches strays from TV Kaifun.
yeah,
They
yeah.
didn't even like make him look the same. They're like, we cannot replicate this guy, not unless he looks like River. All right. Well, I say we go ahead and get on into it then. See what happens a year later.
But before we get started,
Make sure that you hit the like button.
Hit that subscribe button.
Comment down below to feed that algorithm.
on top of all that, if you want to watch more shows like this,
Unfiltered.
Uncensored.
And uncut.
as well as some early access stuff,
You can check it out over on the Patreon.
It's just $5 a month, but hey, no pressure.
There's zero pressure in order to do that. It's just a little bit of extra support, and it would be greatly appreciated.
Also, this has the runtime of the movie.
んグババかどうしたミレーヌと一緒じゃなかったのか
New shirt? No intro?
He's still living in the. Is he living on a planet or is he living on the ship
Oh,
still?
I'm sure he's still on the ship.
みんなによろしくな
Same hole in the ground.
Bitch, you still live like that.
そんなに情けない顔するなよまたな
I think he's asking for your help, dude.
Oh. Intro? I don't think he's asking for help, by the way. That just looked like sad to see you go.
It looks like, shaky cam kind of thing. Different song.
I'm sorry, did you change your style? And not a fan of the space subway thing going on here.
I guess he
Oh.
can breathe in space.
What is this?
Yeah, it might be in a planet somewhere.
I mean, I don't know. Those planes look interesting.
They look like VF1s.
Or VF-11s, which is, I think, the new standard.
Yeah. Oh, there's Mylene. New look for them. Especially for fetus.
Yeah, I guess maybe they are on a planet. It looks like the stage was on the planet. Okay. Dynamite every day, every night, everywhere. Look, I
Okay,
know
this
I've seen the other
this-
intro over 50 times. I think I still prefer it.
Uh-huh. Far more CGI for sure.
On first contact, I am not a big fan of Dynamite, the song.
Actually, I kind of like it. It's repetitive. It is repetitive as hell.
Well,
But I do like the.
it lacks the 80s hair metal flair of all the other, or most of the other Firebomber songs. Except for that part, obviously the high pitched thing at the end.
It's more 90s, definitely.
Not a fan of the 90s.
Yeah, this has a feel of more like Cowboy Bebop. That's what the feel it gives me, the animation.
Yeah, maybe. Because this is what I thought Basara would wind up as. As a fisherman.
I don't think he is. I think he's just a vagabond. He just
I
decided
know,
to-
I'm just joking. We've seen his history. All he does is wander around with a guitar. Zoilet is an unfortunate name.
Alien birds.
I'm sorry, did Spain conquer the universe? No shit. Oh, maybe they did spiritual weapons.
It could be stun.
Yeah, we've never seen stun lasers before, so I'm just gonna put this into shit we already know.
Oh, these are Centrati.
But does Centrati ever had such exaggerated ears? I know I keep bringing it up, but these guys look more like the aliens from Crest of the Stars, which are basically space elves.
As always, that's his solution to everything.
He's changed his theme though. This is like less impact than his rock songs.
Whoa.
There was a firefight!
Right? Yeah. It's just like. It's a stun gun.
Bigger than a stun gun usually is. Well, that's the right method to get rid of Basara.
Yeah.
I'm just pointing out, why is so many planets in the galaxy filled with banditos? It's like Spain conquered the universe and we weren't watching.
Ah, the VF1, yeah. At least they treat them like weapons of war that they don't need, that need to be guarded. Poachers?
It's like, why are they exaggerating the ears so much? None of the others Zentradi had these massive ears.
切れちまった。
Also, probably not great if you can see like a asteroid belt like that around your sky.
Ew.
君は密漁団じゃないよね。
密漁団？
さっきのバトロイド泥棒たち。
あいつらか。
違うよね。聞くんだよこれ。この星
I
はね
feel like we're doing the movie thing again, where Bassar just goes to a planet, and now we see what he does.
そうだよ。免疫のない人は死んじゃうんだから。
クジラ。
君この星の人じゃないでしょ。
うん。
だからバイキンに弱いの。こんな傷放っておいたら大変だよ。でもやっぱり密漁団じゃないんだ。
It might be other alien species. I don't think they
人
are.
のバトロイド盗んで、それでクジラ捕まえるんだよ。キャピーどうしたの？
キャピーっていうのか。
うん。どうしたの？珍しいことするね。
この星にはたくさんクジラがいるのか。
いるんじゃないよ。来るんだよ。
あ？
だからこ
Whales
の
are
時期
people who
になる
spent
と
lots of
密漁団
money
が
on
集まって
stupid
くるん
shit.
じゃない。宇宙船の動力源になるんだって。
宇宙船の。
By the way, visit our Patreon.
だから捕まえて高く売れるの。でもあんまりそばへ寄ると反対にやられちゃうんだよ。コンピューターがおかしくなって船が壊れちゃうんだって。
Oh, I think what the whales are now.
宇宙で船が
Of
壊れ
course,
ちゃ
the
う。
whales
宇
sing,
宙で。
and their power disrupts things.
それでも
I'll
捕
be
まえ
honest, I
に
got
行こうとする
very
人いるんだよ。
sidetracked by the fish lane, the fish thing behind
ク
her.
ジラを捕まえに行くんだろ
そうだよ。
海だろ
なんで？クジラは宇宙を飛んでくるのよ。
They're space whales.
エルマ、
Of course, they're space whale.
お父さん？
誰だそいつは。
お客様。
むやみに家の中によそ者を入れるんじゃない。
だって
Oh, they are
怪我してたん
centralized.
だもん。放っておけないよ。
う。心配するな。今出ていくところだ。
ダメだよ。怪我してるんだから。
大丈夫だ。手当てしてもらったしな。ありがとう。助かったぜ。
ダメだってば。テプトラミラシン塗ったんだから。
なんだ
Oh, anesthetic.
強い薬草だからしばらくは動けないの。
なんだそれ。
Yep, he's Centrati.
How do you know?
He's a giant. And the
No,
ears.
he's tall. Oh, okay. How am I supposed to get that from perspective? I would have just thought he was a tall guy and Bassar's falling over.
No, remember, he's hearing the voice from outside. He's like, oh.
I thought he was upstairs. Like, literally, you
No.
can't pull these shit on me. I'm too dumb.
気に入らんか。
いや、気に入って。
And he
Also,
died.
also, if the movie's true, anybody can be a giant, remember?
バサラ。
Mhm.
その人ファイヤーボンバーのバサラよ。ほら、熱気バサラって書いてある。すごい。本物に会っちゃった。お父さん、大スターの熱気バサラだよ。
バサラ。
ああ、
So right after the movie, where a little kid was a giant fan of Firebomber, after Bassar crash lands on a planet, they decided to have Bassar go to a planet where some little kid is a fan of Firebomber.
ちゃっちゃただまそういたみだばごま
Lola language version.
Okay, I guess they're not. They're another alien species that can be both small and
Maybe they're a
large, or,
variety of Zentradi,
an offshoot, perhaps. One that chose not to fight.
or just to stay on a planet long enough that they
Yeah,
develop their own traits.
yeah.
Although it's only been like 30 years.
Well, I mean, they could be much older. It could have been a fleet or something that just broke off, and
I'm gonna work with the history we already know. Okay, thank God we're not abandoning all the other characters for just a solo Basara adventure.
Are they repairing or remaking the fleet, I guess?
It's been a year. I don't know what's happened in the meantime. Gambling back there in a suit. So even Mylene has changed her tune. So did that say 5 bomber?
A bomber? Yeah.
ミレーヌさん、よかったですよ。とっても。
ありがとう。
でも、どうかしたんですか？元気ありませんでしたよ。
そう？うん。ちょっとノリが悪かったかな。
まさか、みんなノリノリでしたよ。
やっぱり物足りなかったよ。
そうですか？
Dude, you should move on. If she didn't pick you, then you should move on.
Well, remember, Milia tried to set him up with Miho, so I guess that's always an option.
That's supposed to mean something. Oh.
That looks like it's a Big Daddy.
There goes the whales.
Kind of looks like the pro culture art description thing.
Could be.
No wonder it looks like a Big Daddy, because Big Daddy owns it.
That's a house made out of boats. He's not happy. Oh, now you know how it feels like when you don't talk to people, Basara.
おーい、バサラー。お父さんには本当に困っちゃうよ。クジラが近づくといつもこうなんだ。無茶ばっかりして。今度こそ本当に死んじゃうよ。
これと同じのはないな。多分空には一本もないんじゃないの？
そうか。
マーリンのハイクオリティならあるよ。
いや、他のじゃダメなんだ。
でもギターの弦が5本じゃ困るだろう。
まあな。
ああ、ちょっと待
So
って。
does everybody have a cappy?
あんたはエルマと一
What's going on
だよ
here?
ね。まさか知り合いかい？
いや、
悪いことは言わない。あまり近づかない方がいいよ。特に親父のグラハムには。毎年銀
Not a very alien name, Graham.
とてつもなく
I mean-
凶暴になるんだよ。
銀河クジラ。
工芸職人だったグラハムの奥さんが亡くなってからもう5年ぐらい経つかな。
Artificer.
歌手だったんだよ奥さん。マリア・ベラスケス・ホイリー。ほら、水のような愛のよ
Yeah,
う
the
な。
fur on the arms. I think they are a different species.
まあグラハムの気持ちもわかるけどね。空で巨人かなんかしたのはやつぐらいだろうな。
Okay, like I said, macronization's a
超
thing.
特大の白いやつがいてね。
A white whale. Can we be any more on the nose?
それから完全にクジラに取りつかれちまったってわけさ。あの化け物クジラに一人で向かってくなんて正気じゃねえよまったく。で、あの子の姉さんはうちを飛び出しちまったんだ。母親が死んで父親があんなになっちまったらな。まあちょっと聞いてみるかい。あら、なんなんだあいつ。
なかったんですか、ギターの弦。
ああ、
楽器屋さんなのに。
この星では作ってないらしい。
へえ、やっぱり特別製なんだ。すごい。
おい、
でもじゃあどうするの？
あいつだ。あの時騒ぎやがって野郎だ。
なんだって。
困るでしょ。
間違
The guy who played a guitar at our robbery.
あー、霧が出てきた。天気予報外れた。
These guys try to make problems with a guy who has a giant for a father. They're morons. Well, they have a VF1, so I guess they could take
I
him.
think
on.
they're trying to make problems for Basara for some reason. That or they think his music will do something.
クジラか。
We don't really know what they're up to.
Yeah, dude. Didn't you hear what they were saying about his wife?
I don't think it matters. Basara's
Oh, he's a
dumb.
moron.
Yeah.
なんだこいつは。
ヒゲだ。
ヒゲ？
あいつ。
あいつクジラのか。こいつがクジラのヒゲ。
ヒゲの切れ端だ。
Oh, so he's giving him so that he can make his own guitar string.
こいつはいけるぜ。
Oh, I thought it was. At first, I thought it was implying how big the whales were. If this giant thing is just a
お
whisker.
父さんがあんなことするなんて今まで一度もなかったよね、こんなこと。
バッチリだ。
Oh, he lost an arm. Oh yeah, it's so on the nose.
イエーイ。ヘイヘイヘイ。やっほー。
Again, it loses something if Basara's not doing 80s rock for me. Because this just sounds like gibberish to me. I can read the words, but
やっぱりすごい。これがアーティストなんだわ。私やっぱり決めたわ。バサラ、バサラ、お願いがあるの。私を弟子にして。私歌手にな
I
る。
mean, you're not going back to the fleet. Bylene's not going to feature in this anymore.
お願い。私本気なんだから。
エルマ、家へ入れ。
あいつら、あの時の俺を狙いに来たのか。
違うよ。うちのバルキリーを盗みに来たのよ。
何やってる。
What, the giant one?
Yeah.
What's their plan? To get into their Valkyrie? To pilot your Valkyrie?
銀河クジラを追うためにお父さんが買った軍の払い下げ品なの。
なんだこいつ。レーザーが効かねえ。
お母さんの形見なの。お母さんバルキリーで歌ったのよ。
死ね化け物。
Of course she did.
ねえ、お母さんは歌手だったの。私も歌手になりたいの。
She's exposition kid, basically.
やめろ。俺の歌。
It's in limb syndrome? Yeah.
来たのか。
I don't know. I think it was anger. That he got triggered by something.
クジラが来たのか。
お父さん、今度こそ死んじゃうよ。
おふくろさんのバルキリーはどこにあるんだ。
お父さん。
That is a cool diving suit mecha thing that he has. I love it.
借りるぜ。
Yeah, what are you gonna do in a normal Valkyrie, Basara? I feel like you got used to pinpoint deflection field things too much. I mean, I appreciate the theming, but I feel like it's a bit much.
Oh, that was just dumb. Oh yeah, I'm playing my guitar and I'm gonna just hit it and like.
そう。止めてくれるんじゃないの？
銀河クジラ衛星軌道に接近。パトロール隊は直ちに出動せよ。
隊長、
装備は B ダッシュ。
了解。
That almost sounds like a familiar tone. Like almost like you'd say, just a little bit, a little bit of my heart. You hear it, right?
確認したい逮捕せよ
燃えてきたぜ。
さあアルキビーが足りねえ本部の連中は何やってんだ
一日遅れるってよ。
これでクジラ取れってか
徹底的に打ち込めやこっちの問題。俺たちだけでやってやろうじゃないか。
未確認の船団に次ぐ
There were no survivors.
離れなさい
近いぜ。感じてきた。
He's gonna sing to the whales.
Of course, you can sing to everything.
白いやつ。
来やがったケリをつけるぞ白いの
I mean, beyond being a Moby Dick metaphor, what is the point?
グラハム
グラハムホイに戻りなさい。公海安全法規第24条に違反です。
グラハム。
グラハム命令です。戻りなさい。戻りなさい。グラハムもうやめて父さん。
Oh,
Well, the older
course.
sister left, right? So we already knew.
yeah.
俺の歌を聴け
How? Oh, right. It was the mother's pod and the mother played... Oh, sorry. The mother's Valkyrie and the mother played music, so obviously it is. It's a new frontier, you get it? It's a hint to the next show.
なんなのまさかあの時の
Okay, where are the backup vocals coming from?
何バサラの歌エネルギーを感知した？
微弱ですが因果系辺境で間違いなくバサラです。
That's in the other direction from where you should be heading.
Yeah.
Also, are we still in the atmosphere? Because otherwise this shouldn't be heard by anybody.
It's Song Force, Song Power.
No, he doesn't have the suit. We would see it. There's a visual, remember?
Yeah.
And this is a different Valkyrie that just has a speaker on the back of it.
Okay, so he's trying to kill. He's trying to kill the whale. He's singing to the whale.
I think he's singing
What
to
is that?
Graham too,
Yeah.
because he was shouting about Graham to stop and everything before. So I think he's trying to get.
揺れてる。
I think he was trying to reach Graham's heart or whatever he typically does says. I guess they must be in the atmosphere, because otherwise Basara just died. Although,
Yes.
he's got a long way to drop.
No, but everybody else is in spacesuits, so. And they're space whales.
To be fair, what the fuck?
Yeah, this is
Weird.
weird even for Macross 7.
It's bizarre in the real world, but animated still. I'm not entertained by it. It is funny. It is just weird. Especially when he's no, not that one. I was gonna say when he's next to real people, like when he was in the middle of the street. I kind of want a whole show like this now that I can see it. Kind of Roger Rabbit meets Macross. Like what? Pan
Yeah,
across
I
him real
saw.
quick.
Yeah, now he's in India in New York, or that's San Francisco, I think. Now he's on Earth and singing to everybody on Earth, which technically speaking shouldn't be because all those people should be dead.
Yeah.
All
Unless
that should
they
have been destroyed.
unless they rebuilt it one for one.
I guess.
When did Macross 7 come out?
1992, 93, I think.
Okay, that makes more sense. I keep seeing Gonzo show up on here.
Yeah.
Gonzo make one of my favorite anime, Tower of Druaga, but they were not very active after that. So okay, next time on, please. No, I guess I could have waited and I could have asked you then.
1997. Yeah, OVA.
バサラのやつ人の気も知らないで一体どこを突き歩いてんのよ。なんか私ものすごい嫌な予感するんだから。まさかあいつのことだから死ぬなんてことあるわけないけど、でもなんかとっても不安だわ。危険とか危ないとかいう感覚が欠けてるんだから。
That's Mylene talking.
危ないのはお前の方だろ。お前はまだ子供なんだから気をつけろよ。
何よ。
Cemetery. Ironic. They keep talking about Macross 7 trash and having a cemetery ship. Yeah. No, like I was saying, Gonzo made Tower Druaga, I think, 1999 or something like that, and I don't think they, to my knowledge, they didn't do much after that, but
Yeah.
I just remember I really loved Tower Druaga and the second season of Tower Druaga, and I just remember that was made by Gonzo. So seeing their name pop up on a show that I never heard of before just feels weird to me. But yeah, no, I kind of expected this to go a different way. I thought we were gonna get like a bunch of like 4 different one-offs. I thought this was gonna be like the movie, just be one thing, and then next episode. Because I don't know where you go with this. We're just doing the Moby Dick story.
Yes. It's just, it's weird in a way that even by Macross 7 standards, it's weird in a confusing way. That's what it is. It's I'm more confused than anything else. Like, what the heck's going on here? You got whales. You got the guy who wants to kill them because his wife died. You have the poachers because supposedly this is something that can be used in starships, which is the first time we heard about this. I guess.
Well,
It's
of course.
Alternate way.
I mean, we haven't heard of
way of doing.
Well, we haven't heard of any of this other shit before, like these new species.
Yeah.
In our
Zola.
universe before this, it was just Zentradi and Earthlings.
And the Proto Devil.
Yeah,
Later
and the protoculture. And I guess, well, I mean, if you say that, we can say, oh, they had a standing order to kill all Myclones, so there must have been thousands of Myclones across the universe. I don't know. That's why I'm confused.
Yeah.
But it's like, we know the Moby Dick story. Are we doing this because Japanese people don't know the Moby Dick story that well?
I mean, it could be a framing device.
Well, I understand that. I just mean, like, but why, though? Why would we do, like, all this original shit and then Moby Dick?
Oh, no.
Because kind of like the way that they do Journey to the West in a lot of shit.
Mhm. Yeah.
To us, that's kind of new. We don't know Journey to the West as well as they know Journey to the West. Is Moby Dick that kind of thing? to do it one for one, I mean, it kind of has to be new.
No, yeah. What was it? Yeah, I'm just confused, basically. What's going on? It may clear. The thing is, I'm confused in a way that I don't trust the writers to really make a coherent story here because of what we've seen before. So, like, yeah, this could be in any other situation. Oh, this is fascinating. You know, we have a new species. But him, like, I don't trust you enough for you to deliver something that I will find coherent and consistent in a way, shape, or form.
It was done after the show. It was done specifically to be 4 episodes. I mean, I don't know if I trust is the right word. I have benefit of the doubt. I give them the benefit of the doubt that maybe they can pull it off. It's just, I don't know how earned it is when literally the first episode is, here's a little bit of setup and here's just fucking Moby Dick, like right out the bat.
Yeah.
I don't have a lot of faith when you're not one for oneing. It's not one for one, but you're literally just using the words. It's a great white whale. You had to call them whales for some reason. Still, just at a loss. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously we're gonna watch it all anyways. Doesn't really matter what we feel about it, but preferably we would feel good.
Yeah,
So way,
I want to enjoy it.
it hasn't done anything that's been like negative yet.
No. It's not egregious, except that it has Bazaar on it. But
Well, again, I say
that's what-
negative. The music isn't hitting for me just yet, but maybe that's
It's-
just first touch, right?
It's okay. It's a little more catchy for me. Although the theme song repeating dynamite and dynamite and dynamite, it's like, okay, I get it. That's the word, dynamite.
You
Yeah,
said more catchy?
a little more catchy for me.
It's
For my
not catchy
personal
at all
taste.
for me, but I think, again, my problem is I'm pushed back by it because
Uh.
it's not the same feel as the Macross 7 soundtrack. It's
Yeah.
more pop, I want to say.
It's more
Just,
90s pop. It's more 90s music, clearly.
yeah, I was more attracted to the 80s rock. It's like, this is what's making the show even better than it otherwise
Yeah,
may have been.
it's clearly a late 90s or later half 90s anime. It looks like Cowboy Bebop. It looks like almost all those animes of that era, right?
Oh, just a quick
you
correction of
must-
something I said before when I was talking about Gonzo, the studio. The
Uh-huh.
anime I was talking about was 2008, not the 90s, so clearly I was
Yeah.
wrong about that.
It reminds me also a lot of Outlaw Star as well, the style, right? You remember Outlaw Star, right?
No, I know. I definitely know Outlaw Star. I'm going to
The
disagree.
color palettes. No, I mean the color palettes and stuff like that. Yeah, the way they dressed.
Maybe
you
on
know,
the
with a lot
face of it, but Outlaw Star did a bunch of shit with its artistic style, like
Yeah,
putting those same color palettes over like more darker, realistic tones at the same time, like as
Yeah.
backgrounds. So you'd see these pop out characters on top of these almost gothic backgrounds. So yeah, I think Outlaw Star did more with it.
I mean, yeah. It's only one episode out of a 4 episode
Yeah,
OVA. I don't
again,
know.
I'm left more with a sense
Uh,
of confusion than I am with.
Also, another that reminds me of what's Wings of Homeonasi as well.
Don't know that one.
This one about it's a basically alternate Earth version of the competition. To get to to the space race. It's actually a beautiful movie.
Sorry, I'm trying to spell that based on what I heard you say, and I'm getting 0 results. Wings of Homenasia?
Homeonasi, I think. Let me see.
Clearly, that's not spelled Hominosia, which is what I heard you say.
Okay, here is the title of it: Royal Space Force. Yeah, Wings of Honeamis. It's difficult to pronounce.
Royal Space Force, The Wings of Honamisi. Honamisi?
Let me see it. Yeah.
Sorry, just typing what I thought was it got me. There's a picture here that could just be Dyson from Macross Plus. The dude looks a bit more brutish, but he's sitting in front of a jet fighter, it looks like, on a red motorcycle, and it just could be Dyson. It feels
Yeah, but
like.
it's sort of like Cold War. I mean, it's an example of the kind of like late '90s stuff that I'm talking about.
Well,
So
this
it's
is
not.
from 1987, and I first got into anime in like 1995 with Galaxy Express 999, so this wouldn't even have been in my ballpark. And that was what anime was playing on TV, TNT as a movie. So this is a TV show. I had no chance. This is one of those that you had to have been like, gotten to anime and then decided to watch backwards instead of what was current. But I
Yeah.
can see where you would get into this because you got into anime with jet fighters and ace pilot shit. So I can understand.
So I mean, I'm hoping. I mean, I'm not completely down on it. I'm just more confused than anything else. I feel that there might be a real story here that I might get into it, but at the same time, it also suffers from that sort of postscript thing. It's like, okay, we finish our story, but we're gonna bring the characters back to have another story, and you're like, okay, but we're done with the characters, right? We're done with the story. Yeah, but we're gonna have something
I
different.
I hate that
Which,
it is 1 year later and we already had this whole Theta Thoughts thing about how we just dead ended the story of the
uh-huh.
main plot, and 1 year later, should we talk about anything? Like I think you touched on it more when you said, "Are they repairing the fleet?" It's like, oh yeah, that's right, they did all crash into the planet, but that's not the planet they crashed into. So, huh? Are they repairing the fleet? Why is Basara at the edge of the galaxy when the Macross fleet is supposed to be heading into the center of the galaxy? He couldn't have folded there. We know there's a fucking range on those things.
I mean, he probably took like what passes for interplanetary transport. We see him taking a lot of buses in the intro, which is another very confusing thing. I'm taking all these buses,
I mean, I hate
including one.
that because that feels like Lone Star, Spaceballs. You know about the diner that's just like this platform and it's just like a diner? The dude's standing on like a rock floating in space and then the train thing comes up to it.
With no breathing apparatus, and everybody's just sitting there like,
That's what
I
I'm
don't know. They have
saying. The thing at Lone Star, Spaceballs, the thing at Spaceballs, you're just sitting in the middle of space. Like, assuming that you get out of your space Winnebago and walk
and
into the
walk.
diner. Yeah.
Yeah.
I I would accept it even just a smidge bit more if, like, he had a bubble around his head or something. I mean, it wouldn't do much for me, but I mean, just acknowledge what's going on.
I mean, the last scene is him, this fighter torn apart, and he's like, "Oh, I'm floating. Oh, okay."
Well, that's why I was asking, are they in high atmosphere or something like that? Because for
Or,
the music to be coming out of the thing and people be able to hear it, there's got to be some atmosphere.
I think maybe it's the thing that the whales project. Might be he's in that bubble and keeping him alive temporarily.
I
But then, why would the old man? I guess he would need to get to it. He would need a space suit / armor thing. But then, see, that's the thing. The more you think about it, the more like, what?
That's why I said I'm left confused. I don't get
Yeah.
it. And again, the whole Moby Dick thing. I don't know. Next episode called Cemetery. I hope we spend more time with the rest of the crew. Not just because Basar is annoying on his own, but I would like to know. This is like our only opportunity to know what happens to these characters 1 year. Well, I guess technically there's that crossover with Frontier that we know is down the road. So I guess could kind of know there, but I doubt there's going to be a lot of talking. This is our one chance to know what happened after we won. Could we, like, talk about that a little? Gamlin, you're wearing a suit. You're not in your military uniform. Did you quit again? What? Is Docker still after Mylene? Did anybody get married?
Yeah. Is he still courting Mylene? Because he clearly is like, oh, here's some flowers. Like, oh, yeah, I feel so down. And he's like, yeah, I know what this is
Is
like.
Flower Girl still on the ship? Did we have the budget to hire Max and Mylene's voice actors again?
Yeah.
What's anything? There's just too much that I still want to know. Like, that is where Macross 7 succeeded, where I think maybe we might disagree, is I still want to know more. And
I'm more of a move on guy. It's like, yeah, that happened. That was the thing.
Yeah, I know. That's why you wanted to finish Macross 7 and just fucking move on already.
I mean, but I did like, in spite of all the thing that little movie, I like what they showed me there. That was interesting as a side story. I wish they'd given us more, but I did like what I
Yeah, I want a
what I
full
saw.
length movie where that was a cool entrance. That's how we met Amelia. Now get on to the actual movie. Give me another hour where something else happens. Maybe,
That was less confusing than this, and that was pretty confusing.
yeah,
in its
maybe
own
let's
right.
do actual, like we said, the third space movie. Do the third space movie where we then investigate the dimensional rip and find out that more Proto-Devlin are trying to breach into our universe or something, you know? Do something with it. Also, you have to kill Nato Balga so he does not appear later on in the TV series. You have to do that. You can't leave him alive. Because he's dead.
Yeah.
Alright, well, I think there's nothing else left to be confused. I mean, there's everything left is to be confused. So, I guess we go ahead and wrap up here. Once again, I have been Theta, this has been Lessons, we've been Stone-Faced Reactions, and we will catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another Stone-Faced Reactions. If you have an idea of another video we could go ahead and watch, go ahead and put it in the comments down below and we'll add it to the wheel. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe and let us know what you thought about this video, what parts you liked. And until then, we'll see you next time. Is this too goofy?